We have to top a field here just down beside the paddock. This field would have been where the cows, that kind of late cows that had a calf, would have been on. I have a bucket to lift down there, but it's got oil wiry stuff on it and it'll never grow right with that on it, so we're just going to give it a quick top. Just check all and make sure it's all right there. Yeah, one thing I'm going to check is oil. Oh, lovely. One thing you might have picked up on, not sure if you have or not, I'm not having to really shout anymore, drink the voice heard over the noise of the tractor. The cab in these are so quiet, unbelievably quiet. The tractor lick is, he's loud outside, but inside here it's just so quiet. It's a lovely place to be, but the comfort of it just wins out straight away. Now you know you're sitting in something that has quite a few horsepower under it, because you just know when you're down the road, you just know, you can feel it underneath you. This won't be his job here at all. The case will be the one that does the topping, because it's a messy job and you end up bringing an awful lot of muck out on the wheels in larger wheels like this, and it's just, the case is more suited this kind of work. Smaller tractors suited this kind of work. Good news is the case will be back probably on Sunday or Monday, because it's back together. He just has to top up oils now and do checks and things, obviously enough, make sure everything's good, and be glad to get it back. I would be over the moon to get that tractor back. As much as we like our big ties as this one here is, it just is a blessing to us. It's so nimble around the yard and things, and it's just, cannot wait to get it back. It's true what they say, I went without a loader for all my life up until last year, and people told me when you get a loader, Adrian, you will notice some difference in your farm. Why on earth did I go so long without one? But you're right, 110% right. Now that we have one, oh, they're incredible. Off here for a second. Off our PTO. Drop our thing down. Well, looking at the tilt of it, it's more or less level, but I know we're topping too much there. We're topping too tight. Yeah, we don't need to go just as tight as that. The cows will clean that. Probably will clean it 100%, but I just think it's a little bit too tight. Now there's a little swivel on that there that you should be able to tighten up and hammer it into place, stop the top link from moving. But this one took a little bit of a bang, got twisted and doesn't work anymore. I have another top link up there that came with this tractor. I'll be swapping it out and using this for something else. But for now that looks better. We'll not be just shaving just as tight. That seems to be a lot better now. Now, there's a few things in this tractor that aren't perfect, and I have to say Massey didn't do such a good job on. One of which is the actual controls for the lift arms. I do not like them controls. Every time you start the tractor, you have to press the neutral button twice to activate the lift. If you go to lift the arms, you have to press neutral to stop the arms from lifting. So you have to kind of use two buttons to use the lift, and that's not a good design. I don't like that, and I don't know whether it's down for safety or whatever it's down for, but I'll tell you one thing, it definitely doesn't make it any safer. If anything, it makes it more dangerous. You hard beat the handle up and down, but it was much better. The rocker switch was still much better than this. Don't like that. Probably get used to it as time goes on, but don't see the reasoning behind it. Maybe there is. Someone can tell us in the comment box what it's for, but not a fan on that. One thing I do like, really do like, is this control here, hand control. It's such a nice little thing. It's lovely and smooth. You can control your throttle so well with it. Really like that. But another thing I don't like, and I'm going to have to do something about, is the toolbox on this tractor. It's a very peculiar design. It's under the diesel tank. It's kind of incorporated into the diesel tank. And if you want to get something out of the toolbox, you have to get the keys out with you, put it into the toolbox, open the lock, and pull the toolbox out and open the lid. A 5-minute job to get something out of the toolbox. I'll not use it. And lo and behold, guess who's back? Yep, the good old faithful case has returned. And by Christ, am I glad to see that tractor back. No tractor have I missed as much around a farm as that one there when it wasn't here, because with that loader on it, it is so handy for me to have around the farm. And when it's not here, it's just such a big miss. But it's back now, and it's had a lot of work done to it, more than just a clutch, but the jobs that did have to be done when we had our split, it was the time to do them. So what did we actually get done with it? We made a trip over to John Conaty Tractors and we picked ourselves up a clutch pack. A lot of you guys who watched where the tractor was in the garage and seen that clip would have seen the clutch pack. So that was that. That was ready to go into her. But that wasn't all that was done to her. By no means. The next thing that we had a look at in this tractor when we split it apart was the torque unit. Any of you guys who have a case like this know that there can be a bit of an issue with the torque. The torque on this tractor's little switch is on the dash, flicks up and down. But when I bought this tractor, that switch was missing. I didn't pass any remarks on it because I know there's a problem and an issue with torque on these tractors, that little torque switch. She was in high all the time, and that was fine for me because she was 100% for what I wanted her for. Didn't affect me because I'm used to be driving them in high. Most of the ones I've ever drove were in high, and the low normally was the first thing to burn out on them. So I had a look a few years ago. I seen quite quickly this hole. Well, that's where the toggle switch would have been for the high and low torque. And I seen that it had been removed. I knew myself why it had been removed. That happens in a lot of them. They just remove the switch, stick it in behind the dash, tape it up so that nobody touches it and it stays in high all the time. I took out the switch one time and I flicked it into low for the crack of it to see what it'd do. And without surprise, the tractor ran off. It just couldn't hold itself back because the low was burnt out. One thing I did notice was, you might remember me speaking, you could hear this growling noise. When you take your foot of the clutch, you'd hear this growling noise when you come under pressure. That was two things. That was clutch. Clutch was completely worn out on the tractor. When we seen it out on the ground, it was completely worn out. But there also was a problem with the torque. I noticed in the last month that you come across a hill, not like the way a clutch would slip, it's different, you lose traction. The tractor would either take off on you or roll back on you. And that's what was happening. The high torque was starting to burn out on it. Now, there's two ways you can fix that. When the tractor's split, you can pull the whole PTO apart on it, take out the PTO clutch and everything in there, and you can replace the torque unit. Place it back to the way it should be in factory. Problem there is that I've heard of guys doing that before. It is an expensive job to do as well, but I've heard of guys doing that before. And you might be lucky, 6 months, a year, and it goes again. And that's what I've heard from loads of people. I like to fix things right. And if I knew that we could fix it and it'll stay running for another 30 years, this tractor's 30 years old, remember, I'd have fixed it. But we decided not to do that. Another fix for this is if you're happy to have a tractor in high, or in low, but I suggest you have it in high, depends what you're doing. You can weld it. You're just putting a strip of weld across it, holds the whole thing together, and that way you're done with it for good. That's it. You never have to worry about torque again. We asked loads of advice from case dealers, people who had worked in cases over the years and knew them inside out, and every one of them said the same. If you're happy with it in high, for the work you're doing, weld it in high and leave it there, and you don't have to worry about it anymore, because anybody ever goes to buy your tractor after you sell it will be happy to see it actually welded. Believe it or not, because they know then they're not going to have to worry about the torque. So that's what she is. She is in high now permanently, the way she was the day we got her. We're happy with that because that serves our purpose here. So that was the torque unit took care of. That took a bit of time. That's what ate up a lot of the time. Then we get up towards the front of the clutch and you're into the flywheel and the ring gear. When we had the clutch pack off, looked at the flywheel, and the flywheel was covered in little hairline cracks. It was amazing to see. It was just fractured all over the place. So we also put a brand new flywheel and ring gear. So we put a new ring gear into it as well. Ring gears are cheap. You might as well put one into it when you have it split. So we put that into as well, because another thing I wanted to get put into that tractor was a brand new starter. This starter here, I know it's hard to see it with the loader in place, but there's a brand new high-speed starter. Now, a lot of you guys mentioned high-speed starters, and they're a great job on some tractors. Yeah, but I wouldn't have put one into this tractor unless I knew the ring gear was in good condition, because what can happen is it can tear the teeth of the ring gear if it isn't in good condition. So be careful of that. If you go to put one on a tractor you have, make sure the ring gear is in reasonable condition. Ours was. It wasn't too bad, but I still wouldn't have put it on it until I knew that ring gear was done. That and all your new seals and everything put into it, new bearings and loads of other little small bits and pieces here and there just put into it to leave that whole middle section pretty much brand new. There's a little shaft, I can't remember the name of it, a little thing about 12 inches long. You remember on the last video I mentioned it was all tore apart, and the teeth on it, the splines on it were all torn. We have a new one of those in it as well that we picked up in Conaty tractors, and we have all that now in her as well. So she's solid in there. Nothing's going to ever be going in there hopefully for a long time. She is a bit jumpy on the clutch. Yeah, she's jumpy on the clutch. There's a wee bit of getting used to her now, because beforehand the clutch was high, now the clutch is low. So yeah, she's jumping back and forth on me because I'm just getting used to having a fresh brand new clutch on her and a different clutch pedal completely from day one. Now another thing you remember is the dash. Remember I sent the dash off to King Electronics. There's a name on it? David King, I think. Electronics in the UK. Got a phone call from them before they sent it back to me and told me, yeah, the whole calibration, everything, whatever it is has to be done, and it was all off anyway. Everything was on zero, and they have it all fixed and working as good as it should be. But I plugged into the tractor, and guess what? Didn't work at all. Plugged it in as normal. These parts all work. This has all been redone, recovered and all. Nice fresh new lights in there. But this is not working at all. So I'm not sure what's going on. The dash now, at least I know it's fine. It wasn't fine when I went off, but I know it's fine. So we have a wiring issue somewhere. My mechanic did have a look at it real quick. Told him not to waste any time at it. He's a busy man. He's a lot of work to do, and electrics can take up a lot of time looking for a fault. So I have a man that's up the road from me who's going to fix that heater that I mentioned before, and he's the man that will get that dash working and just go through all, because even when it does start working, we don't know if the fuel sender works. We don't know what way it's going to be, so it's better off having him here and looking at it and making sure that all's right. As I said before, she's a good little tractor to put money into. As you see there, she looks great on her Alliance Agri Star 2s. She's just a lovely little tractor. She's in great condition, and it's worth putting a few quid into her. Even she is 30 years old. She's had all the upgrades, the LED lights, the loader, all that stuff. So nice little tractor to have around. She'd be kind of irreplaceable if you got rid of her and put in something modern that could break your heart. And you know what, a few little things, it clutches to go on every tractor. It's money well spent. If you're looking for any bits and pieces for a tractor like that there, as I said before, my father would have bought all the parts that he ever wanted for his tractors and things of John Conaty tractors, and I've been doing the same since I was knee high and fit to afford them. I've been buying as well. If you want to go and check out, you can check out the website. I'll put a link in the description if you want to go and check out. Look, if you have a tractor like this and you want to see what price a clutch is and the bits and pieces we put in, I'll put in all the big items like the flywheel, the clutch, the ring gear, bits and pieces like that. I'll put them in the link below and you can see the prices of them for yourself. It's a brilliant place because you can get everything under the one roof. I made 2 runs because we didn't know we needed that ring gear or the actual flywheel, so I had to make 2 runs. But I met 4 guys up there who actually are fans of the channel, and came over to me. I had a chat with them, and I was just explaining to them, because I've seen a hell of a queue into it. There's always a big queue into Conaty's, but I was explaining to them about the way the website works and how it speeds the whole thing up. Just go on the website. If you have a part number, you're blessed. And then when you're purchasing the item, don't click delivery, click collect in store, and about an hour, 2 hours time, you can drive in and you can pick your parts up, and you're not sitting there all day waiting your turn trying to get the parts picked up. Or if you have a question to ask, rather even than ringing, just email them. They'll come back to you straight away, because there's a crew of lads there. You'll get a far quicker answer than you probably will on the phone. I'll put all that stuff down in the description below. Check that out for yourself. How cool is that? I put that there under it in case I need it to bleed it. Dean was telling me sometimes you do have to bleed these pumps when you first set them up. Just a matter of open a little Allen key nut there, but I didn't have to do it. He said 9 out of 10 times you won't have to do it, and he was right. I didn't have to do it. So I'm just after putting 39 litres into that. And doing it with one hand, I spilt a bit, of course. Shouldn't need much fuel anyway, but it's such a handy bit of kit. It's cool. It's absolutely cool. I absolutely love it. And then when you're finished with the 39 litres, you can turn it back, or you can leave it like that. But you know what? You can turn it back then, reset it. This here won't lose its count. It'll always keep that count from now on. Yeah, how cool is that? Alright, you might notice I'm not taking off the blades. Well, you don't have to take off blades of mowers to actually sharpen them. Well, you can if you want, if you're really fussy. I don't take them off this one. Just put a pair of vice grips on that keeps the blade in place. And I turn around to where it meets and come along, and I can do the whole blade from that area there, just where the hole is. Once you put a pair of vice grips on here, it stops the blade from moving when you're sharpening it, and it's an easy way of doing it. You don't have to take them off. Just be careful not to hit the bed of the mower when you're sharpening. But these little boys here are great. That's a sand disc, so basically it's sandpaper. It doesn't really heat the blade unless you push really hard. They're a great disc for sharpening blades. They're relatively cheap, and yeah, one of those will do you quite a while. And just before we end today's video, you want to see what we got to demo? Well, there it is. We got a quad trailer, a Nugent quad trailer to demo out behind our quad, and I've already been using it. You can see there's plenty of muck on it already. We've been using it for the past day or so. But before we show you it, we run a thing on Instagram and Facebook where we're running a little bit of a competition where people could guess what our demo was going to be. And if you guessed it right, you get one of our new peak hats that you see there in our shop. Are all listed there now. They're there if you want to get yourself one of them. But the question basically was, what did we get to demo? And lots of comments came in and nobody got anywhere close to it. Yes, some people guessed trailers and things like that, but not a quad trailer. I knew it was going to be a little bit more difficult for people to guess what it was. But after about an hour, a guy called Jack Callagher, I think it was on Instagram, he actually was the first person to get it right, guessed quad trailer. And Jack is from Castleblaney in County Monaghan, and he didn't see it on the trailer. He didn't see it in Lakeland Machinery where I came from. There's no way he could have seen it because it was hidden in a shed. So he just guessed it straight out. Got it right. First man to get it. So hat is already probably there with you now. So well done, Jack. Fair play to you, and thanks everybody who took part. But that's what it is. It's a quad trailer. Nugent got on to us back about a month ago and asked us would we be interested in taking one of their new quad trailers and having a quick look at it and seeing what I thought of it. Now, we get loads of demos offered to us. Loads, trust me. And 90% of them I'm turning down. It's just something we wouldn't use, if that makes sense. I want to have things that I could use on my farm, and if your farm is similar to mine, not on a big scale, something that you guys probably would enjoy more. So Nugent and the guys at Lakeland Farm Machinery organised this for me. It's a handy little trailer. It's bigger than the one I have, but the good thing about this is I don't have to review it. I don't have to tell you how good it is. You can make that decision yourself, because we're going to have that for a few months. We're going to have it for the rest of the summer. So we're going to be using it, putting it to use and seeing how good it really is. My first impression is that it's strong. It's strong, but it's not heavy. Everything is strong where it needs to be strong, all the supports. Another thing I really like about it is the fact that it's a ramp door. So you have your ramp door here, which will open. And there, Hudson. It's nice to have a ramp door on a trailer. You can run wheelie bins and things like that up onto it, whatever you want. You can wheel up onto it and take it back and forth to the other farm, which is excellent. No lifting up and down the trailer. This particular trailer comes in two different types. You can get a wooden style. I'm not sure what you call that stuff, but you know what I'm on about. It's the same as what's on my other Nugent trailer, but I asked them to send me out one with a checker plate floor because I think that would suit me better. I don't like them wooden floors. They get easily marked. If it gets a hole into it, unless you fix that hole on it straight away, it just eats into the floor. So I'm going to be throwing posts into this, going to be throwing barbed wire into it, doing a lot of fencing work. If it was me, checker plate floor is the way to go. You have a little clip here. You just pull that forward. Back door just lifts clean off. Just a hook on one side. It's hinged on this side, and the hook's on the other side, so it makes taking off the door very, very easily. These wheels are actually smaller than the ones that I had in my other trailer. The problem I had with mine on the other one, and I don't have it with this one yet, is my other trailer used to bounce an awful lot. Now I had the tyres fairly soft, and these ones are quite soft as well, but my other trailer would bounce an awful lot. My other trailer would be heavier than this one. I just know by it behind the quad, it definitely 100% is a lot easier pulled. I know my other trailer is all made of steel, and we got it reconditioned there back a few months ago. You might remember me telling you that on the channel, and that made it even heavier again. So you definitely know it's behind the quad, especially pulling up hills. You'd know, even empty, you'd know it's behind you. This I've had over on the other farm this morning. There's just literally no comparison. It's such an easy trailer to pull. Mud guards as well, so no more splashing about. The mud guards is there. Now my other trailer, the sides all came off it, and you're left with a wee small trailer underneath, just exactly the same as this one is here, which is you kind of need the whole four sides on the one to keep the thing stable. The kind of one holds the other, if you get what I mean. On this one, you don't have to do that. This one, you just open these two keys and you come across and you loosen this 17mm bolt here and just lift that side off. This side then is still holding itself because it's already supported in here. So each side panel is supporting itself, so you can go ahead and do that. So I can have this side off, which is probably what I'm going to have it like most of the time, and leave one side off, and then you have all your fence and stuff in here. On the low side, you can just grab whatever you want and work away that way. That way you let the back door down at all. That's going to be really, really handy. That's what I really like about it. The top feature for me. We're not going to say too much more about it. You see there for yourself. Everything there, you have your quick hitch there as well. It's a lovely, compact little trailer. That's it, folks. I'm going to leave for the day. I have a million jobs to do next week, and it's going to be a busy week. This week was tough because it was so hot, so hard to work when it's really, really warm. It's not just as bad today. Rain is on the way. Yes, as bad as it is to see it, a little bit of rain is needed now and again just to keep the thing running. You can see the dogs are even panting. They're warm. Just before I do go, the Ferguson, we're going to be back working on it next week, so hope to get something of it being done. I know I've one about 3/4 way there that was filmed about 4 weeks ago, and I'm hoping just to finish that video off, and then we're going to be going full whack into that Ferguson. She will be hopefully driving around this farm within the next 2 weeks, because I've been putting on a long tooth. I have to make the time to get it done. I want to get it driving. If I get it driving, it's half the battle, because it is going to be the #1 task of getting running now in the next few weeks, just when things are kind of quieting down. I'd say quieting down, but yeah, not that much quiet yet, but hopefully they will quieten down and we get something done with it. Anyway, folks, as always, thanks very much for watching. If you haven't subbed, now is the time to do it. Give us a like, leave a comment down below. We'll do our best to get back to them all. And until the next one, talk to you again. Have you guys anything you want to add? Anything you want to add? No? Anything you want to add? No? Okay.